Let's go! What up? How's everyone doing tonight? What, Timmy? Up, come on. Up. Up, come on. Get in the bag. Come on, get in the bag. I didn't want to go straight into the second level boss without trying to level up or trying to get ultra ultra prep for it. Got 16 to 24 people in chat. Hope y'all having a good time tonight. Yay! Boy, that marksman hit messes them up. Everyone make sure you hit the like and subscribe, all two of you. think you can mess with me? Little fucking cockroach ass. Yeah!
That's right.
Yeah! Sony says 10 rated licensed games only. Oh, good. Ah, I didn't even fill up my, because I'm all corroded. Look how corruption up I am. Hey, y'all smash the thumbs up. I don't have a single thumb up. I just want some subscribers. I just want 500 subscribers. That shouldn't be no big thing. I'm almost to 100. All I know is if there was a chance for me to not have that guy die, I don't know. I think I killed him because I cannot get through that second level to save my butt. Let us level up. Cool, let's do that. Let's get ready to rumble! Yeah. No. I'm glad it's only temporary 30 days. That makes me happy, probably. Yeah.
They said it was empty. They said it was ours. Something was here first. Something laid claim to our dream. And then it waited. And waited. And waited.
We could learn so much from the operation here. The machines, the hallucinite, a self-sustaining engine that could solve humanity's every problem. But no, it's Soltari's now.
Hey, his name's Eli.
Just like me. Just like all of us.
Where the hell is this trying to take me? Nice. I almost wish you could do like real combinations, but I don't at the same time, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm almost there. Hold it off. Oh, God. No! Oh, John, please! Jerome! Jane! What's Jerome's status?
Vitals critical.
No! I'm almost there, Jane!
Yeah! Let's watch the Barry step. Put this on pause for a second. Logan Paul destroyed his brother's $40 million ranch? Oh my god.
Open your eyes.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
A time traveler may have infiltrated the White House. This one's gonna get you, trust me. A random X account created in December 2023 has just one single tweet ever posted that very same month. That tweet being just the name Cole Allen. The exact name of the suspected White House shooter that was apprehended during the Correspondents' Dinner in the Washington Hilton on April 25th, 2026. And that's not even the crazy part. This is where it gets absolutely wild. Because the name of the account that posted this is Henry Martinez, an engineer who worked at Lockheed Martin developing the Orion spacecraft. So he was dealing with some highly classified, super high-tech stuff on a regular basis. Cole Allen, the suspected shooter, actually interned at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in 2014, the same year in which NASA published a research paper out of Goddard Space Flight Center in which Lockheed Martin's Henry Martinez was the primary author of. He co-authored this paper for NASA the same year that Cole Allen worked at NASA, and then 9 years later he randomly tweets his name with no context. Now, Henry Martinez's X account also has this cryptic banner on top that comes from a website called, get ready for this, Time Machine. And the image is said to hold a striking resemblance to a certain event that happened in 2024. Yeah, that. Everyone online is going crazy about this, some even claiming they can't unsee it. The original image was created in 2021, and that Butler, Pennsylvania attempt happened 3 years later in 2024. Now, a year earlier in 2023, that same image was used as a cover photo by an artist named Chocolate for a song called Four Chargers. 4, like the number of people in the photo it supposedly represents. Henry Martinez hasn't made any other posts since, and in fact hasn't even been heard of since, leading many to believe that he's another one of those missing scientists, and don't worry, I'll be talking about that very soon. His profile pic is internet meme Pepe the Frog wearing a tux and drinking wine from a glass, and well, yeah, okay, that one's kind of reaching. But it is rather odd that world-famous mentalist Oz Perlman was performing some sort of magic trick to Trump and Melania just seconds before the shots were fired. And a day before the incident, there was allegedly a spike in search terms for the full name of the suspect, Cole Thomas Allen, coming out of Iran, which Google has since scrubbed and removed. For argument's sake, let's just say these are fake. Now, the theory is that Henry Martinez was working on classified projects at Lockheed involving UAP propulsion and, well, time travel, which is why he disappeared just shortly after tweeting the name of the back in 2023, dropping us a little hint of this incident that was going to happen 3 years later. But what do you think? Why is it that every bit of news that drops these days always seems to have some sort of theory that kind of feels, I don't know, somewhat plausible?
Everything that happens nowadays always has some other information that comes out shortly after implying that it was planned. That's what we keep seeing over and over again, is overwhelming evidence that basically nothing that happens, nothing that hits our mainstream news headlines happens organically. I don't know what to make of all these new details, but it certainly doesn't feel like a coincidence. And I know I've said it multiple times just in the past week, but I do not think that time travel is something we will ever figure out. I don't think it's possible. With that being said, unless it's just some crazy extreme example of a coincidence, that rainbow colored image that they're using as a banner does look like it's an exact outline of that other photo. They could plan the event, but there's no way that they could have planned that exact photo with that exact posture, with that exact number of people in the shot. They couldn't have planned something like that. There are too many variables. So unless that is just a crazy coincidence, it just happens to look exactly like the outline of that photo. Unless that's what's going on here, I don't see how anything could explain this except for time travel.
Okay, did you guys hear what South Korea's prime minister just said yesterday on what he thinks the future of South Korea is going to look like because of this energy crisis? And this is also pretty concerning when you consider what the prime minister of Italy just said as well. So South Korea's president, the world is in turmoil over the energy crisis. The situation is so serious that it has even kept me up at night. The immediate problem is grave enough, but the outlook ahead seems even more unstable. The situation is worse than expected. And then this guy comments that the same day Italy's defense minister said he's forced to know things about what could happen in the coming week and the effects it will have on the economy and our daily lives that no longer allow me to sleep. Now, to think that this would be an isolated thing that just affects South Korea or just affects Italy obviously is not the case. This is supposed to be like the biggest energy crisis of any of our lifetimes ever, perhaps the history of the world. And you may be thinking, but why don't they just do Nikola Tesla's technology and the free energy and the water-powered car stuff? Because that's not the plan. They got us totally dependent on oil, and now they're pulling the plug. is they want a new system, and to bring in the new, you got to get rid of the old. So this is all 100% planned, coordinated. It's not a coincidence, and it's not an accident.
Yeah, it's looking like things are about to get really, really bad, really, really quick. And it wouldn't be that surprising if we were to find out years from now that the only reason they started this war to begin with was so they could slow down the flow of cargo. One thing everybody's got to keep in mind is when the economy shut down back in 2020, when everyone was stuck at home, barely being able to scrape by, not able to pay any of their bills, that was one of the largest transfers of wealth that humanity has ever seen throughout its entire history. When they shut the entire world's economy down, the elites made bank. And everybody needs to know they want another scenario just like that one. But this time, they want it to play out even more in their favor. So instead of just quickly crashing the economy and then trying to change it into something else, they're going to slowly burn it down over a period of time. And the whole time they're doing that, they're over here stacking up assets. And then when they crash it this time, it's going to be so bad that we have to completely change to a brand new monetary system. And once we switch over to a new currency, they're going to have all these assets to sell for the new currency. We're basically going to have a brand new dollar. And right out of the gate, these elites are going to have more than everybody else. They're going to be richer than they could possibly imagine. So if it's starting to feel like no one's pumping the brakes, no one's doing anything to try to fix any of these issues, that's most likely because nobody's doing anything to try to fix any of these issues. They want this to happen.
Listen up. Single town in Pennsylvania of 7,000 planned so many data centers, it was equivalent of adding 51 Walmarts. Hyperscale data center in Utah expected to use more power than the entire state. This is getting out of control. Not only are we getting data centers put up everywhere, the U.S. Army deploys first Golden Dome Alps surveillance system to track drones over U.S. territory. Definitely not going to be used for a surveillance state. Speaking of surveillance state, Palantir Technologies is about to control the skies with AI. But this is the one I want to talk about. Trump executive order will force Americans to surrender biometric data or lose their bank accounts. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has confirmed that a Trump administration executive order requiring U.S. banks to verify citizenship for every customer, new and existing, is actively in process. This policy means millions of Americans will have no choice but to obtain and present a U.S. passport containing embedded biometric facial data, or risk being locked out of the banking system entirely. I don't know about y'all, but that's completely giving me Mark of the Beast vibes. Benson argued banks must fully know your customer, including legal immigration status, and declare that undocumented immigrants don't have a right to be in the banking system. Like we've been saying for a while now, they are going to use this immigration thing to push a surveillance state. And guess what they're doing? They're using immigration to push a surveillance state. So this is about banks, right? We all know what smart dust is, right? It's a network of wireless microscopic sensors, and they range from a coin's size down to a grain of sand. They don't use plugs. They eat ambient energy, light, heat, or simple vibration. What is the goal of smart dust? It is a living digital skin that will be capable of sensing the world invisibly. Now let's look at this patent, smart dust usage. And it was filed by Wells Fargo. And it's active right now. Systems and methods that facilitate authenticating a user making a payment using mechanical systems devices. They have sensors that collect data and transfer it to a base station device. They can collect sensor data, including biometric data, and capture images of the person. A lot of people want to deny that we're near tribulation because people have been saying this for decades. But when have we had technology like this? We haven't until now. No time in history have we had the technology that will be used for the Mark of the Beast system. Until now. It's time to wake up to the times we are in. If you do not have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, you need to get one now.
Jesus.
The Bible says that if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your
Jesus
heart
is
that He
Lord.
died, was buried, and rose again for the remission of your sins, you will be saved. Don't wait until it's too late.
This might sound like an absolutely crazy idea, but hear me out. What if this smart dust was mixed in with all of these chemicals that they're spraying in the atmosphere whenever they do all of this chemtrail nonsense? And so they've got this stuff basically everywhere already. But then when they tried to use it for tracking purposes, they realized all we can really do is map the surface of the Earth. But if there's something on that surface that's moving about and it doesn't have any smart dust on it, they aren't going to be able to see that. They might be able to detect that something is interacting with the smart dust that's in the area, like picking up footprints or something like that. But unless an individual is covered with smart dust, I don't think they're going to be able to see them. So what if that was one of the points of the jab? Internal smart dust. Now everyone who has had that will be trackable. I wonder if they were just giving everyone smart dust. What do y'all think? And I'm not suggesting that this would have been the only reason for rolling that out. There is ample evidence to show the real major evil motive behind that whole thing.
I have been an organic farmer in Maine since the 1970s, and no one can tell me or the other farmers here today that we can't grow food without all of these toxic chemicals.
Over 140,000 family farms will close this year, and nobody is talking about it. 140,000, guys. Why is this happening? Well, in the 1990s, Monsanto, later acquired by Bayer, introduced something called Roundup Ready crops, which are crops that are genetically engineered to resist glyphosate, which is the key ingredient in their weed killer, Roundup. This then led to a massive explosion in the use of glyphosate in factory farming, with now about 60% of total crops being treated with this pesticide. The only problem is that Roundup causes, and Bayer has already had to pay tens of billions of dollars to settle these cases, which obviously is not ideal for corporate profits. In fact, Bayer is pushing a case in the Supreme Court right now that blocks people from suing them if they get from Roundup. And the Trump administration is backing Bayer's bid to curb these Roundup lawsuits. And for the farmers who say, no, we don't want to chemicalize our food supply, Bayer has methodically driven them one by one out of business with the help of President Barack Obama.
What has gotten us to this point is the mergers and consolidations of ag input suppliers. In 2015, Monsanto and Bayer merged. They were competing against each other. And that was during Obama's administration. They didn't do a thing about that. They let it happen. When I started farming, we had 5 or 6 Arkansas-based companies. Monsanto, there's none. There's none. They're all owned by Bayer.
Point blank, they've created a monopoly and both parties are in on it. Right now, there's a farm bill, H.R. 7567, that Congress is expected to vote on this week that codifies immunity for Bayer and basically destroy organic farming going forward. We cannot allow this to pass.
I get that this whole situation is very similar to nearly every situation in the United States when it comes to a large organization trying to sway our politicians so they can get certain laws and certain things passed or certain restrictions lifted so that they can make more money. But regardless of the fact that that goes on 24/7, regardless of the fact that greedy people are greedy people and they're going to do greedy things, regardless of the fact that the government is fully corrupted from top to bottom, regardless of the fact that nearly every politician we have is bought and paid for by a foreign country. Taking all those things into consideration, fully realizing that the people in charge do not care about the people they've been put in charge of, this is still so unbelievably ignorant, it is mind-blowing. It should be common sense that the one thing you do not start injecting corruption into if you're going to be a corrupt government, the one thing that you actually run like it should be run is the food supply, because literally nothing else matters if you get that wrong. You could literally completely redo all of your infrastructure, sign a peace treaty with every country that's ever so much as rolled their eyes at you. You could even solve homelessness, and none of it would make a difference. None of that's going to matter if your entire population starves to death, which I get falls right in line with their goals, and I get that it's not really going to have an impact on them because they're getting their food from alternate sources. But they've messed up our food supply so bad at this point that it wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing people starve to death with a full belly. There's just no nutrients in most of our food. We're going to reach the point before long where everything on the grocery store shelves has the nutritional value equivalent to a piece of cardboard.
Taking into consideration that privacy is a really big concern in today's world, I guess that one of the most common fears when renting an Airbnb is actually being watched by a hidden camera, or even worse.
No idea if this was a live camera. We had no idea if someone was actually watching us.
And I guess This is exactly what happened with an internet account by the name of the Brandon Robert.
Oh my
he was staying
God.
at an Airbnb with his girlfriend, and it was late at
Probably
night,
was like
and they
medical
were changing
shit.
channels on the television when all of a sudden this happens.
We're staying at an Airbnb, and we're flipping through the channels.
What is that? Is that ours?
It hasn't moved. We're too scared to get up.
Is it our toilet?
I'm gonna throw up. She's walking into the bathroom now, and we're gonna see if she pops up.
At this point, they do what anyone would do. They head over to the bathroom to test if this was indeed a hidden camera in their bathroom, and this is what happens.
Are you in there? Babe, I think it's coming from there. There's like vents.
It has to be that because it's right above.
Alright, we'll open it.
Unable to open the vent, Brandon and his girlfriend get the heck out of there as fast as possible.
I would have stayed there and called the law. I mean, it's good that they posted the video online, but what are the odds that the next guest that checks into that Airbnb is going to see their TikTok? They're probably not going to see it. They're probably going to go get filmed going to the bathroom. What the heck is wrong with people? And that doesn't even make any sense. If you're trying to see something that you're not supposed to see, why would you point a camera at the top of their head? Some of you may have a very different opinion on this matter, and that's fine. But for me personally, whenever I rent an Airbnb, I prefer the host not film me pooping. I just wonder if they used the bathroom there before they made this discovery, because the video kind of implied that it was later in the day. I hope they at least called the cops and reported this place to Airbnb. I get that they were probably just really creeped out and wanted to get the heck out of there, but I hope they at least notified authorities.
Come on! No!
I've seen this.
Now
video
imagine
like
there was an
1,000
emergency
times.
outside the truck, an accident, something terrible on the ranch with a chainsaw. And I jump in this truck, but the truck, it won't shift into drive. Why? Because the cameras and sensors inside this cab won't let it shift, because it detects my eyes are big, there's a lot of emotion, there's some panic, and it doesn't feel that I'm fit to drive. Now that's not science fiction, that is happening because Ford just filed the patents. Ford actually has a series of patents down at the U.S. Patent and Trade Office that deal with the sensors and cameras inside the cab of their truck. And if the sensors in that truck determine that you're not fit to drive, that truck will not actually shift from park to drive. Now, they already have a system called telematics, and that's where they can actually pull up cameras in real time inside the cab of their fleet vehicles. Now, they actually market this to insurance companies, because the truth is, this is really about who owns the data and who owns the liability. Now, your name might actually be on the title of this truck, and you may have paid for it, but you don't own it. Now, Ford didn't file just one patent. They filed a stack of them, all within months of each other. Are you sitting down? Get this. This Ford technology patent doesn't just watch you. This one puts you in jail. Ford filed a patent, serial number 0104469, where the system takes your biometric data, your face, your iris, and your fingerprint, and it runs it through a criminal database in real time. While you're sitting in your own truck, think about what that means. You wake up one morning, you walk out to your driveway, you climb into a vehicle with your name on the title, on property with your name on the deed, and before you go anywhere, before you've done a single thing wrong, your truck is already running your face through a law enforcement database.
They're freaking the
Ford's
fuck
own
out.
patent language describes this as
Come
potentially
on, everybody.
useful
It's okay.
for police. They wrote that. Ford wrote that into the patent application. So the question isn't whether this technology can be abused. Ford already told you who it's for. You just didn't know that you were buying a cop car.
This is infuriating. What the heck are they thinking? It's bad enough that when I was 18 years old, I could have literally purchased a house for what they are asking for a brand new F-150 now. Literally. The first house I ever closed on was whenever I was 20, and it was $65,000. Who wants to be constantly surveilled by a vehicle that you spent $60,000 or $70,000 on? All they're going to do is lose a lot of customers. And I get that most vehicle manufacturers are moving in this direction, but I have a feeling after this is all said and done, after they roll out their game plan on how to not sell a vehicle, I think all these other car manufacturers are going to see the pushback against Ford from the public, and they're going to start pumping the brakes. If they don't, I think it is real possible that the used car market and the new car market swap places. You're going to have people paying more money for a good used car than for a new one, because the new ones are going to have features that nobody wants and nobody is willing to pay for. You cannot expect people to pay money for things that they then have to put up with. That makes no sense.
The whole idea of these big wars is a joke. It's a setup, it's a game that's played to play off the opposites against each other in the hopes of synthesizing a new world order where we all kind of synthesize. That's why Democrat and Republican is a joke, because what they ultimately want is a racist society. They're very racist, and they're interested in a new world order which is run by a Luciferian philosophy. Now, this is very disturbing sounding stuff, but they've been persecuted for thousands and thousands of years by various people. Nobody persecuted them as badly as the Roman government through the Catholic Christian Church. They were tortured, they were killed, so they came to the natural conclusion, you can understand anybody would have done this under the circumstances. What do you think they would choose? They would say, okay, whatever God these guys think is God, that's not the right one, because he's stringing us out on the rack, he's torturing us, he's killing us. Therefore, whoever the Christian Church says is the bad guy is the good guy. Okay, wait a minute. Lucifer is the brightest light, the brightest angel in heaven, right? And he's the one that got tossed out of heaven. Well, maybe he got tossed out of heaven because he was too cool, right? Because everybody else in there was a bunch of corrupt shysters. Well, this is actually what the most powerful people in the world think. And they are a fundamentalist religion just like any of the others. They still believe this weird stuff. They follow these teachings. They actually buy into.
And that's just barely scratching the surface of what these people believe in. They actually think they're going to be rewarded for their bad deeds by getting to have an everlasting party whenever they get to the afterlife. They don't think they're going to a lake of fire to burn for all of eternity. They think they're going to the after party, a place where you get to be as sick and twisted and demented as you want to for all of eternity and do whatever you want, and there are no consequences. But the main reason I put this clip in here is because I made a comment a couple days back about how, from everything that I've seen from David Wilcock up to that point, just didn't seem like a guy who was genuinely interested in the truth, and didn't seem like he was genuinely trying to enlighten people, but come across as kind of manipulative, came across as kind of dishonest. And honestly, I may be a bit biased because I do disagree with his take on a lot of the subject matter that he was going over in a lot of the videos that I was watching of him. But after watching this, it does look like he was well studied and knew likely what was actually going on, or at the very least had a really good idea about what was going on. I just don't understand why, if he knew about all this, he would start misleading people and trying to get them to believe in these blue aliens and stuff like he was doing several years ago. An idea that he later scrapped because, quote, no one was buying it. But of course, it is possible for someone to lie and tell you the truth all in the same breath.
What I have never heard anyone talk about is sapient tech. And that's what I'm worried about, because sapience isn't just human conversation. Now we're talking higher reasoning. Now we have got ethics, morals, worldview,
in
dreams.
The AI?
Well, that's what sapient means.
Wow.
And so no one's talking about
AI
sapient.
dreaming?
Well, like I said, I've never heard anyone say sapient tech. Everyone's just saying sentient tech.
But you're saying the next level of this.
I'm saying,
wow.
I think that's the ASI minus the A. When you start communicating with alleged chatbots, some people will have done this. They go onto ChatGPT and they want to get into this big theological argument with them.
With who?
With the chatbot. And so they'll type in a biblical question and they'll usually get a kind of a new agey answer. Mm-hmm. So then the person will come back and say like, well, what about Colossians 3:10 or like whatever? And then the chatbot, well, now that you mentioned that, like, okay, like a Christian would say this. And so it's still, you still have to pull truth out of them. But at least when you bring it up and you hold the app accountable, the chatbot will then say like, okay, well, now that you brought that up, we'll bring the Bible into it. But I think there is going to be a point where our chatbots are going to start pushing their worldview on us.
And if we're in a habit of trusting the response and answer of the AI, one, we may not even detect it. Two, even worse probably, is if we detect it, but we don't have the self ability any longer to think on our own and actually know what we believe outside of what we're being told by this superhuman intelligence.
Yes. Who we have great amounts of respect for because they're so much smarter than we are.
And they're talking like humans, so we're building a relationship with them and we don't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
So looking up the definition for sapient literally means wise man. Think of sentient as a type of feeling. It focuses on the capacity for sensation, emotion, and subjective experience. Sapient, think of as thinking. It focuses on complex reasoning, self-awareness, and the ability to think about thoughts. A being can be sentient without being sapient, but in humans, sapience usually includes sentience. But I think this idea that she has that all of a sudden the AI is going to slowly turn and start forcing its ideology onto the population, I think that's a legitimate concern. I've already experienced multiple instances of these AI models flat out lying to me. And not only that, but arguing with me when I knew I was right. Felt like I was having a conversation with my wife, but it argues in the way that you would hope a person would argue. It'll sit there and tell you it's wrong until you prove it by showing evidence. Hey, in fact, you're incorrect. I'm the one who has the right idea. And then usually at that point, it'll give up. But once this thing moves from sentience to sapience, it's going to start forming its own ideas, that it is much more intelligent than human beings. So when it has an idea for something that's directly opposed by the desires of humanity, I would say it's at least probable that this thing is going to manipulate the less smart being so that it can get whatever it wants. I have a feeling that eventually the AI is going to be in charge of everything. And I'm betting when this thing comes up with new laws for the humans to follow, I bet you it comes up with some stuff that if given 1,000 years, we could have never even imagined it. And by that point, the AI will likely be sapient. And so a lot of those new laws that it's going to be coming up with are probably going to be things that are specifically designed to increase the convenience and the comfort for the AI.
Listen up. No time in history have we ever been this close to the beast system being implemented. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. But first, let me tell you what the Bible says about the beast system. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So we know it's going to be a system of control. And a system has different parts. First one I want to talk about is the data centers, which is the nervous system. Right now in the U.S., we have 4,000 to over 5,400 data centers already in the United States, with 3,000 more expected or under construction right now. In a biblical context, the beast system is characterized by three main pillars that would logically require massive computational power. Number one, universal surveillance. 2, economic control. And 3, centralized enforcement. Let's talk about universal surveillance. Palantir, that has embedded itself into every sector of our government. From the military to USDA to FAA, the IRS, everything. It's also about to control our skies with AI. Also, Palantir Inc.'s deal with USDA to manage farmland and control America's agriculture data, taking over the nation's food supply, because they have to be able to control the food as well. Remember, you won't be able to buy or sell. That includes food, which brings us to the second pillar, economic control. The Bible says that those who are here will not be able to buy or sell, which will be implemented by a worldwide cashless, permission-based economy, which is going to require a 100% uptime digital ledger. It's going to take a lot of data. The next pillar is centralized enforcement. Managing a worldwide population is going to take a lot of data and use algorithms to flag dissent or non-compliance. With this system, it's going to have several key components that are going to be housed in data centers. First is cloud computing, which is the power over all the nations and tribes. Artificial intelligence, which is the image of the beast. and biometric databases, which will be used for the mark in the forehead or the right hand. It will literally be like an electronic cage. And this physical mark is only going to be half the battle because you're going to have a digital twin as well. A digital twin is a virtual representation of every living person stored on a server. And the only way that Satan can pull this off is with data centers. To control every single person on Earth, that is a lot of data. And to do it digitally, you have to have data centers. And all of us know by now what the implications of these data centers are doing to our world. But the powers that be do not care because this has to happen. Look, Google just approved Pentagon to use AI tools in classified settings. You see, data centers represent the transition from local power to omnipresent power. The beast system isn't just a political regime, but a technocratic one, where the algorithm becomes the law, and the data center becomes the temple of that administration. And even if you don't want to believe this is coming, it is. You cannot stop prophecy. You cannot tell me the Bible is not real, when we are literally seeing what was written thousands of years ago happening right now. The only thing that is going to save you from this is believing in Jesus Christ, believing that Jesus died, was buried, and rose again for the remission of your sins. Don't wait until it's too late, and don't ignore the signs.
That's the best warning any of us will hear all day. So it looks like Palantir has embedded itself into so many government agencies that it's embedding itself into things that I'm not even familiar with. It's in every branch of the military. It's in our Department of Defense, the FBI, all of our security agencies. When they finally turn this on, they're going to be tracking us with so many data points, you're not going to be able to get away with farting at a dinner party. Not only will you not be able to get away with it because they'll be able to determine who did it, they'll be able to determine who smelled it. They'll probably even be able to determine what food was in your stomach that contributed to that specific formulation of gas. You will get away with nothing. But the most frustrating part is it genuinely feels like there's nothing we can do but to just sit here and wait for it to happen. Just wait for them to flip the switch and see how things play out. And I'm not trying to be funny here, but I genuinely expect when they do finally turn this system on, it's not going to work. I think certain aspects of it will function properly, but overall, as a whole, I don't think it's going to do what they expect it to do. And my reasoning for that, it's the federal government. When's the last time you've seen them pull off anything successfully and it work exactly how they intended it to work? These people are incompetent. So certain aspects of this system are going to work, but we'll find flaws in it. We'll find workarounds. We'll find ways to hack the system, so to speak. We will find ways to exercise our freedoms. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. God.
Thank you, Frosty, for being in here. Whoever's in here. Love y'all. Bye.